Time to do some sketchy shit. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Hope I get away with it. Oh, doo-dah day.
The following episode is recorded by an adult using adult language. If you don't like explicatives and invectives, you might want to pass on this episode. Thank you in advance. All right. Some random Richie. I don't know what's going to go on in here. I might do some random pimpage. I might do some worthy causes. I might just start talking randomly about weird and random stuff. First thing I would like to do is say happy birthday to my father, Richard Asplin Sr., who passed away last September. I love my pops. I miss him. This is my first of his birthdays without him. Yesterday was my first Father's Day without my father as well. So it was a little bittersweet. Dad and I didn't get along all the time. In fact, we didn't get along a whole hell of a lot of the time. But I loved him. He loved me, and it was good for us. It was us. I was thinking earlier when I was cooking dinner. I cooked dinner time because Misty's working. She should be getting off anywhere between the next 5 minutes and an hour and so, depending how many patients come in the door. My wife does customer service stuff for a urgent care, and they're not allowed to have anyone leave until all the patients are gone and they're all leaving together. So we'll see. It was weird. My mic muted itself. Earlier, my wife messaged me saying she was having just one after another come in the door, so we don't know when she's actually going to get out. But I've got dinner on the stove. Tacos reheat good, so everything's good. But I was thinking, we're all broken in our own ways. I'm broken. My wife's broken. Our children are broken. We all have our own weird breaks and weird oddities and things of that nature. And we have to come to terms with how broken we want to be. There's a level of broken where you're like, no, I'm not good with this. I need to get better. And then there's a level of brokenness where you're like, it makes life interesting. It's not damaging me in any way. It's not stopping me in any way. Let's go with it. And then some people are like, no, my life has to be perfectly normal. And that's okay for them. I mean, everyone has their own level that they have to be comfortable with in their life on that ideology is you've got to be comfortable with you. And I had a laugh. My youngest asked me the other day if I knew what masking was. And as far as I know, me and a lot of people in my life masked before masking was a term. It's very common in young men that are brought up by men of a certain generation or certain generations. That's you can't cry, be a man, man up, all that weird shit. And that forced us to have a face that the rest of the world sees. And we can be ourselves in private, and that's damaging to a level. I mean, masking works in certain occasions as well. I mean, if certain people are in my vicinity that I don't really care for, I can mask through it sometimes and get through. And then some days I've just have reached my boiling point, and it's fuck it, we're going there. Um, my mother was not pleased with the level at which I would say fuck it, we're going there, because that threshold was really, really low. And my mom was always like, Richie, you got to be nice to your sisters. I'm like, I'll be nice, but if they start something, I'll fire back. No. Yes. I love you. You're my mother, but I ain't doing that. Needless to say, I got my ass kicked by my mom a lot for doing that. And for the record, no, I do not believe I was abused or beaten. You know, I did stupid shit. I got my ass kicked. I reaped the rewards. You know, as the term goes nowadays, I fucked around and I found out. The thing is, my mom's bullshit meter was set, really, really low too. So, I missed mom. Anyways, sorry. Back to the masking stuff. We all have to find the level that we want to go ahead and put up with life. And, Misty, my wife, came up to Chicago back many, many, many years ago when I was in the office, 5 days a week, doing a thing. I took a half a day and met her for lunch. And then, it was for our anniversary. Met her for lunch at Maggiano's, really nice restaurant. Actually, the first restaurant we ate at together, although we were not together when we ate. Was just a big group of us going up to the city to watch a movie in DLP, digital linear programming. I think is what it stood for at the time, or something like that. Something from about 20 years ago that was new in technology that was coming to Circuit Cities and Best Buys. Yes, once a long time ago, there was a place called Circuit City. Anyways, so on the way back, we caught the train I normally caught at the end of my normal day to commute home. So she got to see my commute friends. And then after we got in the car, she's like, why are you always nice to those people, but you're not always nice at home? I kind of looked at her. I'm like, you mean, why am I able to pretend to be a really nice guy for a half hour, 45 minutes until they get off and I can go to sleep and sleep the rest of the train ride home? Because that's 30 to 45 minutes a day. You get me at the end of everything, so you get to see everything. You get to see all the really high highs. You get to see all the really low lows, and you get to see everything in between. You get the pleasure of seeing me, the true and real me. I can put up with people for couple hours and play nice and get along with people, but that led me to start thinking about other things. There are certain people in your life that the second they look at you, they can see through all the bullshit you put into your masks. And they get to see through it, and they can see through the mask, and they can see the real you. And these are the people that tend to either become really, really good friends or people that tend to become really, really, really nasty adversaries, depending on what's going on with their life. Thankfully, I have like 99% of those people that are able to see through my bullshit are my really, really good friends, and only 1% have decided to join the adversary list. Um, so, I'm saying it like I'm the main character of a story, and technically I am. I'm the hero of my own story, and I've got to be good with that. You know, and looking at my life through the lens of a story helps me deal with a lot of the weird stuff that happens. And I'm not talking woo-woo, spooky, stuff. Oh, there's some of that, but weird stuff as in awkward social interactions. Um, Dealing with people at work with much different views than I have about many different subjects. And I'm not just talking stuff in the political arena. Um, Part of my job is dealing with graphic design and layout of training materials and stuff like that. So it is also an artistic angle as well, where it's like, I wouldn't put that there. I wouldn't use that color scheme. I wouldn't use that font. I wouldn't use that font size. I wouldn't use that font combination type of a deal. That can get really persnickety. Yeah, my life can be really exciting. But it also goes into presentation styles and stuff like that. Um, I am a garrulous talker. I will go ahead and just start launching into stuff. And I also do a lot of demo. I take a lot of questions, and I take questions along the way. And it's I'm a very much, you look at the situation that I'm giving you, and you tell me where we need to make a tweak. Because nobody learns the same, and I'm all about people learning in the way that best suits them, so they actually get something out of the session. It's one of the reasons I created this channel. It's one of the things I need to continue to do. Is I need to actually sit down and start writing some of the shows that I've thought up, and producing the actual live show, and then also do some recordings and other things of that nature. Again, things that are broken about me make this harder. For me, my ADD does a lot of damage to a lot of things. It damages my writing because I'll start writing on something, and then ooh, shiny, and jump to something else. I'll start working on bigger projects. I'll start working on my chainmail stuff again, and all of a sudden, squirrel. Going over there. If it's a shiny or a squirrel, it's good. I can come back from it. If it's a shiny squirrel, I'm screwed. I'm done. No coming back. Stick a fork in Richie. He's done. But the ADD, I really needed to get the echocardiogram, and I will here eventually, because my doctor wants me to get an echocardiogram so he can see if there's anything with my heart he needs to be careful with as far as prescribing medications for my ADD. Instead of just trying to start me on, I don't know, the one that doesn't impact heart function, that can also help depression. Maybe that'll help too. But anyways, he's wanting really to go with the Adderall type medication route, because he wants me to lose more weight, which maybe if I could actually just get through my ADD, I can actually get my body and my mind to go into the patterns for working out and actually have a chance to work out instead of shiny, shiny, shiny. Oh, I have a gym membership. I haven't touched that in 2 months. Crap, I need to go. Whereas if I can get my head straight, fix my brokenness, I can go ahead and be able to set time and go, okay, yeah, this day, this time, instead of living with ADD brain and going, oh, hey, maybe I should go and do this. Oh, shiny. Oh, shiny. And then, just getting distracted by life and everything. Um, so it's one of those things with life. Um, all right, because Facebook comments are not coming over. Hey, Joe Dog. Hey, Nick. Um, yeah, Nick. He did mention that there is one non-stimulant that is also a really good product that helps with depression. And I'm thinking, why don't we start there? But he, of course, wants me to do the other, and getting the money for the tests are always fun, persnickety things. Um, as soon as we catch up from some of the other bills, I can go ahead and schedule that, and I'll do that. Um, grant permission for what, Joe Dog? None of the Facebook comments are coming into StreamYard at all, which is why I'm glancing over at Facebook. I'm actually cycling through between Facebook, um, YouTube, and Twitch to see if there's anything coming through. So that is one thing that a little bit of ADD is helpful for. I need to have multiple things around to look at so I can catch things out of the corner of my eye. I was just on YouTube looking there at stuff like I tend to do on Stupid O'Clock. But there, that came through, the link on YouTube. So the YouTube comments are coming through. I don't know why the Facebook ones aren't. I'm probably going to have to go through and do some persnickety things with that. But back to the brokenness. So we all have a level of broken, and some people don't like to look at it as broken, and some people get pissed at me when I say broken. And that's fine. They're welcome to their opinion. They're welcome to see the world through their own view, their own eyes. It's just sometimes the break in a branch. Excuse me. When it's time to change, get a Brady moment. One moment. My cousin Pete will probably be pissed about that. Because his last name is Brady. So, anyways, where was I? Northwest Indiana. No, didn't mean it like that. So when you look at a branch and you see, different curves that become bigger and more pronounced and dramatic, that shape that tree or that flower in its own majestic, beautiful way. Two elm trees next to each other, they're not going to look exactly alike. So it's interesting. Um, but those breaks cause different things to happen in life. And, that happens whether it is people and emotions and ways of thinking. Um, Honestly, my way of thinking has been broken so many times in life by so many people, and I'm thankful for that. It has gotten to the point where I'm able to see things in a much different light, in a much different view than some others. Um, Growing up, passive and casual racism was a thing in my home. Um, Certain terms were used that um, would get my ass jumped in a dark alley if I use them now. Yes, I've had a racist mindset in the past. I've grown past that. Or at least I hope I've grown past that. I've grown past on a lot of things. You know, I won't know others until they spring up in my life. Um, but I've grown past that. I've learned that, maybe that's not the best way to think. Maybe that's not the best way to act. I had a break and I changed direction and I moved, which is making the whole of me much better. Or at least I think so. I mean, we all have to come up against differing opinions and differing viewpoints. If nothing else, it gives us insight into those other people. And that is what we need to be able to navigate the world around us. I told you this was going to be Random Richie. It's in the title, or wherever the hell the title is. Um, but our thought processes, our life views, our world views need to be broken every so often. If certain things didn't break certain things in my dad's life view, he never would have started working with computers and messing around with computers and stuff. Now, granted, he never got beyond maybe a fifth grader's acumen with technology of that sort at the time. But put a furnace in front of my father, and the man was a fucking genius. Um, but something I gained from my father. So bringing it back to my father, since it is his birthday. Um, when my father started working with HVAC, back then it was just called heating and cooling, but now it's HVAC, whatever. Um, One of the first jobs he went on with my uncle, they pulled some furnaces out of some place and put brand new furnaces in. The furnaces weren't completely junk yet, but they were on their last legs. They were getting to the point where more service was done on them than they ran. So they should be replaced. Um, my father asked if it was okay if he took these home because all they were going to do is take them back to the shop, chuck them in the dumpster. And my uncle and the other co-owner, looked at my dad and went, sure. So dad brought it home and put it in the garage and tore it apart, put it back together, tore it apart, put it back together, tore it apart, put it back together. That's the kind of mindset my dad had. If he didn't understand something, he would take it, he would tear it apart as much as he could, he'd put it back together. And then he'd continue to do that for the duration that took him to learn. And my father actually passed that on to me. My father and my mother weren't necessarily happy about the things I decided to try to figure out how they work and took them together and tried to put them back together, or took them apart and tried to put them back together. Sometimes I succeeded, sometimes I didn't. But thankfully, the majority of that were my toys. Um, And then it got to the point where, something would break and I would mess around with it, see if I could fix it before we just threw it away. And more often than not, we just ended up throwing it away. But I got the insight to the inner workings. Um, so that's one of those breaks is you need to learn something. So you try to break it down and put it back together, kind of a thing. And I've done that the majority of my life. I do that with people. I do that with machines. I do that with programming. I do that with everything. I'll take it. I'll take something that I want to do, and I'll look at the basics on how to do it, and then I will. And Chat GPT. I know as soon as I said that, Nick's going to start twitching. Chat GPT is a perfect thing to say, hey, give me a couple lines of code that deal with this. And then I can sit there and look at that code and go, oh, okay, this is how I do that. Looking at my tutorials to see something, but the tutorial's not doing what I want it to do, so I need to go ahead and see it from that point of view. And it's using the proper tools to go through and find those breaks and figure out how to break that and how to fix it. Break, fix, break, fix. That's why I ended up in a IT help desk, is breaking and fixing stuff. And then when someone broke something in a way that I wasn't familiar with, I would come in, I would see what they're doing. I tell them, okay, do exactly what you wanted to do, and then cause the break so I can see where that break is, so I can try to find the right path through. And sometimes it was as simple as somebody didn't know the proper way to do something. They knew a way to do something, but they didn't know the proper way to do it. And then you just show them the proper way, which is, good 99% of the time, instead of this weird way that works 70% of the time. But anyways, having those things that break our way of thinking makes us a better human. Back when I was a kid, we lived in a household that was, surprise, surprise, very LGBTQ plus, not happy, not compliant, not. It was it was the 70s, it was the 80s. Homosexuality was either completely forbidden or it was a joke on Barney Miller. Growing up in those times, my ideology was a certain way, and then I met certain people that changed my worldview of that, and it made me realize, wow, that is really hateful, that is really wrong, that is really powerfully dangerous to do and to think. So I changed my mind about it, and now I'm dealing with trying to help a child that is Q plus. And if anyone is offended that I take all the letters and just jam them into Q plus, I'm sorry. It's just easier for me to say, and sometimes I have issues getting things out of my mouth properly. So Q plus is much shorter, and I think also pretty much encompasses the majority of everything else. But if you've got umbrage with it, put it in the comments. We'll talk about it at some point in time. And I apologize if you are offended. But now I'm dealing with a child that has Q plus issues and trying to help them navigate the world that doesn't see them as being worthy. And that's another level of broken, is seeing your level of worthiness in the world, being 6'4", over 400 pounds, having resting thug face, has not made the world easy for me. When I was really little and I was fairly thin and had the same body type as the rest of the kids we were around, everything was fine. I started getting fatter, I started staying in more, and I grew away from those kids. Um, some of those kids became assholes in high school because must you know uh, torture the fat kid in any way, shape, and or form. Um, and a lot of those folks have reached out to me in later years and have apologized for being asses back then. And honestly, the funny thing is, at the point in time they apologized and all that, I was actually past it. It brought some pain back up when I started thinking about it again. And it helped heal a wound I wasn't really sure existed. But that break helped me become the man I am today. Now, I would not trade an ounce, a nanogram, the tiniest measurement you can think of the pain and the bullshit I have had to go through in my life. Because if just one little bit of that changed, would I have met Misty? Would I have gotten Zach and Brittany in my life as my children? Would I have gotten Crow in my life as my child? The answer is no. Well, actually, the answer is there's no telling. Had I gone on to actually graduate and get a um, bunch of letters behind my name for a degree, would I have been playing Dungeons and Dragons with the group that eventually brought Misty in for me to meet? Yes, I actually got my wife because of Dungeons and Dragons. So for all those people out there that said, because I play Dungeons and Dragons, I'll never get a girlfriend, fuck off. I got a wife. Um, anyways, um, so those breaks, that damage that occurs, because damage occurred. I'm not going to lie. It hurt as a child when I had friends that were no longer friends and friends that were now treating me like shit. Um, and friends that, okay, today are we friends? Today are we adversaries? What's going on? But all those breaks made me the man I am today. It put me in a position. It had me put my feet in the steps to become the man I am today. I'm interested to see the man I'll be tomorrow. Now, I'm not happy with the man that I am. I see a lot more faults and foibles than I let on. And I probably don't see faults and foibles that I should, which is why I've got the group of friends that I have, and I'm really appreciative of those people. But there does need to be a remaking of the man that I am. I need to look at things. I need to fix my ADD. I need to fix some of the anger issues that still exist. I need to fix some of the prejudices that I still have, and I need to actually gain other prejudices in my life. Gain prejudices, you say? Yes. So, you should be prejudiced against hate. You should be prejudiced against people who want to hurt others. You should want to go ahead and help those people change their ideology, but realize that sometimes hate is so ingrained, you can't. You need to figure out the people that you should keep in your life and the people that you should say, jog on, have a nice travel. Thank you, drive through. And crap, this is running a lot longer than I thought. But anyways, again, it's randomness. Video journal therapy. So today the Navi took me to the Tree of Life. Oh wait, sorry, wrong type of video journal. Anyways, see squirrels. We do need to hold some prejudices in life. And we need to know where that line gets drawn, and we need to know when it's time to cut toxic people out of our lives. As you see in the banner that's been ticking along the bottom the entire time, you are wonderful. You are talented. You are so much fucking cooler than you think that you are. And you need to realize that those that don't see you as worthy are the ones who are unworthy to be in your life. Let them go. If they come back and to your life, they'll see that there is some worth to you, or why the fuck would they come back? But if they're being toxic, you need to go ahead and go, nope, we're done. Cut the toxicity out of your life. It's a poison. It's a cancer. It's going to eat at you. It's going to gnaw at you. I still have a problem doing that. But there's a lot of times that I'm able to say, you know what? Fuck off. Have a nice life. And I've realized so many times when I've done that, I've had a much better life afterwards. Cutting the dead tissue before it rots the good tissue. Getting rid of a lot of that before you just feel dead inside. That's what you got to do. Sometimes we've got to do self-surgeries on things that are more than removing a splinter or cleaning out an accidental knife cut as you're cooking dinner or something like that. Yes, in the background there was movement as the mutts were going by the door. Any second now you'll probably see my wife speeding by. She's like, oh my God, he's recording. Though she does not realize her true beauty and her true wonder. I wish. Actually, no. I'm kind of glad she doesn't. If she had 1% of the faith I have in her, if she had 1% of how wonderful and beautiful and great she is, she would probably end up being a really arrogant bitch. So it's good that she's not thinking she's as cool as I think she is. But I do love her. I wish she did see more beauty and wonder in her life that I see in her. And actually, I hear her in the other room getting ready. I think she's looking at dinner and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off to everyone and say thank you for joining me here for a little bit. It has been very helpful for me to go ahead and just spew random shit. And I'm glad that at least a few people stuck around to see what's going on. So thank everyone for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Light, love, laughter, hope, and happiness to every single person that is out there. Be free. Talk to you later.